So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Ask YP Now show. It's a show focused on positive living, work life balance, living with passion, achieving success in your life and your business, and very important to make the world a better place. And this today, we've got a special guest with us, is Dr. Omar Fisher. So, Dr. Omar, can you just say a few things to introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm delighted to be here, YP. We are connected through the Go Global Business School Conscious Leaders Program. And this is a
Mhm.
great opportunity to meet some of your audience and share some thoughts about financial intelligence. So, I've been passionate about financial intelligence with regard to business owners and with regard to youth for a number of years. I'm the co founder of 9 startups in financial services since 1992. Some of
Wow.
these have been listed for $250 million in Saudi. Another one in Bahrain. With my team, I raised $63 million to launch that financial service mutual company. I'm an international author. Over the years, I've published 5 books. Most recently, 2 of them, you can find them on Amazon under Guide to Financial Intelligence or Conscious Wealth. So I hope that is a brief introduction.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Omar. How do you get into this field of conscious wealth? It's not an everyday niche, isn't it? You don't meet many people with your specialty. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, I like to talk about it, YP and
Okay.
audience, as having 2 legs, like the Chinese and the rest of us. We walk on 2 legs. So one
Okay.
leg is finance skills, terminology, knowledge, and the other is conscious, having a mindset. And we'll get into that in some details, I hope, in a few minutes. But I got
Mm-hmm.
started, actually, the story is in 2005. I happened to be living in the place called Bahrain in the Middle East with my kids. And I started looking at my kids who were in their teenage years at that point. And I asked myself, now who is teaching my youth about money?
Mm.
Well, it wasn't in school, okay? It wasn't in the church. It wasn't in the synagogue or the mosque. And you know what? If it's not at home, then I figured there was one place when these kids they're learning about money. Any idea where that might be?
From your friends
The
or the
shopping mall.
community? Shopping
The
mall?
shopping mall. So
Okay.
kids today, and for some decades, they've been learning about money either in the street or in the shopping malls, which means that we're being conditioned largely to be consumers. So what we
Okay.
understand best, I would say, we're conditioned to be spenders. And what's
Mm-hmm.
really important to garner wealth in order to have more security, financial security, and other kinds of security that comes from that in your life is to be a saver. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Okay.
So in 2018, a few years later, I actually pulled these ideas together into a company called consciouswealth.me. And we were invited to join the premier accelerator in the Middle East out of the
Okay.
DIFC here in Dubai called FinTech Hive. There were 22 companies selected out of 360 global applications. So
Wow.
happily, I'm able to report that there's increasing interest in this notion of financial inclusion and some of the tools and techniques we all can use in our business, in our home life, in our personal life, in terms of understanding this thing we call money.
So, in your experience, what's the biggest? I'm going to use a few words. Okay, what's the biggest misconception or mental block or pitfalls that you come across that people have towards money or wealth? Yeah.
Sure. Well, actually, a few. One is that money is the same as wealth.
Okay.
And actually, it isn't. So,
Oh.
money is a yardstick. Money is something that we use to measure our wealth, our earnings, our spending, accounting unit in our business. That's money. Wealth is actually much broader than that.
Mm-hmm.
Wealth has to do with knowledge, has to do with beauty. Wealth has to do with, of course, health. Are we taking care of our bodies?
Mm.
It's, as you know, difficult to enjoy all parts of life if we're not feeling well.
True,
And
true.
wealth has to do also with donations, meaning, do we share our time? Do we share the knowledge that has been granted to us? Are we
Mm-hmm.
also, maybe from time to time, sharing our money? All of those aspects come under the heading of wealth. So when we say we guide people to financial intelligence to become wealthy, it's not
Mm-hmm.
just about amassing a certain volume of money. Something else is many people feel that money is an end goal, meaning
Okay.
I'm going to work hard. Of course, with you, it's going to be uh, work less, earn more. So they're going to work at some pace, right, YP? And
Uh-huh.
and the goal then is to amass a certain amount of money, as we just said, and then that will help make me happy. That's what most people are thinking. But if
Mm-hmm.
you really unpack that, you understand that then money is the end goal. Okay. And it's difficult to get to the end goal if your end goal really is happiness. So money
Mm.
should be a means goal. We acquire the money, we invest the money, we save the money in order to then have that as a resource, an intermediary resource that enables us to amplify who it is we are, to do
Okay.
good things for other people, to buy
Mm-hmm.
inventory for our business, to
Mm.
sustain the payroll in our business. So things keep going. In that case, money, hopefully you clearly see, is a means goal. The end
Mm-hmm.
goal is happiness, it's comfort, it's security, taking care of our parents, whatever our true end goal is.
Mm-hmm.
Another issue is that some people, in my experience, many actually, don't feel that they are enough.
Okay.
And they're measuring their self worth through the net worth. They're looking at
Mm.
the financial calculus and they're saying, well, you know what? My bank account is this big, so I'm not enough. Oh, this is a huge mistake. And unfortunately, for some, can lead down a slippery slope toward maybe not feeling well, and perhaps even if it goes on for some time, maybe depression. So, what we
Mm-hmm.
need to recognize is that each one of us has talent.
Okay.
Each one of us has a special gift. One of your gifts, YP, is you're a great communicator and
Thank
that
you.
you have the kind of personality that enables the networking, which brought us together and helps other people to understand the tools and skills and the techniques, I would say, about being an effective networker. Okay, so we have the talents and gifts to become wealthy, and it starts in the heart, understanding that we are already enough, even if the
Okay.
bank account is maybe not showing five or six figures, right? That can come, and particularly when we are doing what is our passion, when we have found a purpose-driven life. Usually, then we're enjoying it every single day. We're not earning money in order to buy something to feel happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're actually enjoying life. We're feeling that happiness ourselves. And that's a huge jump up, I would say. And then the money can be sufficient.
Okay.
That's really the target goal. And there's a great book called The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist, which I'm working my way through. It's published in 2015, and she's got a great attitude toward looking at money in a somewhat new way, or in a different way than what people are accustomed to look at it. And some people feel, further to this YP, that they don't deserve to be wealthy. Now, that goes back to what I call in conscious wealth childhood wounds, things that have affected us. Maybe you didn't get the allowance that you expected, or maybe you wanted the red bike or the skateboard, and that was not forthcoming from your parents because they were saving for your education, or whatever the circumstances. And then it gets stuck in your mindset that you don't deserve X, Y, and Z. You don't deserve to be wealthy. Well, in fact, as we've defined wealthy a moment ago, everyone has the talents and gifts to feel wealthy. Even in poverty, I'm sure you've seen many, many pictures of people who are smiling, who are happy. Of course, they're not happy in some of the aspects that go along with poverty. So don't misunderstand me. But I'm saying that don't allow your environment to dictate how you see yourself. That's the conscious part. So it's important to examine what I call core beliefs. And to help with that process, I've invented some games. One of them you can find on my website, which is called the money personality. There are actually 10, I've discovered, 10 money personalities. And by playing this game, you can then assess your relationship to money and perhaps arrive at a new understanding in that relationship. What is your money personality? Maybe you're a pleasure seeker. Maybe you're a guardian. Maybe you're an innocent idealist. Maybe you're a builder. Those are some of the labels. And by re-examining our relationship to the thing we call money, then we can get into the core beliefs and see how we can improve our performance in all areas, but with special focus on money.
Dr. Omar, you mentioned about your website. Is that the omarfisher.com? Is that where they can have a look
that's
at?
the website YP for my books. For the company, and to learn more about money personalities, and there are some videos, some interesting things coming up as well. It's consciouswealth.me. Consciouswealth.me. Actually, in February, another short story is I organized a global webinar. And the global webinar was on the future of money in 2030. And why is that important? Well, when we examine what's happening to the thing we call money today, and we're all, I think, aware when we go to the grocery store, we try to deal with our banks, either as an individual or as a business owner, we see that more and more of the transactions and payments around money is what? It's digital, it's instantaneous, and it's cashless. Yeah, thank you, YP. So money is changing. Now, we're not thinking much about that. And by the way, do we want to raise our voice that we want the future of money in 2030 to be something else? And I organized then this meeting on the 22nd of February. It's passed, but the videos are going to be available on that website that you put up there. So
ladies and gentlemen,
another reason to maybe in the next 10 days or so to visit that. Now, what we had is 24 speakers from 14 countries. So it was a global meeting from New York, from London. We had them from South Korea, all over the place, from Saudi, Dubai. And we were talking about cryptocurrencies. We were talking about NFTs, of course, the metaverse. We're talking about digital payments and how it affects your customers as well as your business. Very interesting topics. And my goal was to stimulate your thinking,
Okay.
okay? That we have for maybe 8,000 years or so, we as the human race have had a certain view about money. It started
Okay.
with stones and precious colored rocks, and then went into commodities, gold, silver, and whatnot. And more recently, starting in the 50s, it went to plastic cards, another form of money. And now these transactions are actually in our phone, right? So they're
Right. Right.
becoming
Right.
digital, which is making it invisible. Now,
Mm.
what I contend, and I want you to think about this, is that if you're not that comfortable in making financial decisions, if it's not entirely clear to you the matter of cash flow in your business or in your household, maybe you're head of household, right? Then what's going to happen when the fiat money, the paper money that you have in your wallet and your purse, poof, disappears? And money becomes only digital and cashless. Well, that's why I'm doing these kind of sessions and other webinars and ebooks and other resources to help, let's call it average folks, to get a better grip on their relationship with money so they can make better informed decisions and be more financially secure as they build up their wealth.
Yep. So that's very important, isn't it? Because the nature of money has changed. Nowadays when I go to the shops, I see young people taking their watch and and doing this. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, not
Yeah,
young
indeed.
people. Not only young people do that. Okay.
Yeah. But you
Yeah.
see, on that, it's easy. It's about convenience in spending. But where's the
Mm-hmm.
visibility on how you're spending?
Mm.
That's where we need to pause and go back to some basic tools. Do you have a budget? Are
Mm.
you setting goals? And not
Mm-hmm.
just for spending, but ideally also for saving. And that's a
Okay.
topic I want to come on to in a minute, because I think
Okay.
you're going to ask me at some point about tips for wealth building, right? Yeah.
Okay, let's keep the tip for wealth building to the end. Okay, I just want to clear up some of the misconceptions or some of the popular sayings. I believe you've heard that um, money is the root of all evil. Or that's the incomplete statement. And also the other one that I hear amongst people is the pursuit of wealth would lead to your downfall. What are your thoughts about these two statements? Especially the second one, the pursuit of wealth will lead to your downfall. Okay.
Right.
What are your thoughts
Well,
about that? Yeah.
thank you, YP. So the first one, you're accurate in saying that that quotation is incomplete because it comes from the Bible. And of course, we've got the largest monotheistic religion in the world, Christianity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their book is the Bible. So they go there. However, the phrase is the love of money is the root of evil.
Mm-hmm.
And so the key operative there missing is the love. And actually, there are 5 or 6 what I call money mindset traps,
Okay.
which people need to avoid. And
Okay.
one of them is, in fact, this idea of love of money, which
Mm-hmm.
means, as I briefly described a moment ago, that money becomes the end goal, not the means goal.
Mm-hmm.
And what can happen is also that we get wrapped up in the consumerism that we want to consume life. We
Mm-hmm.
want to have certain experiences. Of course, there's
Mm-hmm.
no harm at all. And in fact, it's encouraged to have adventures, to go on travel, meet new people. But what I'm talking about is that many people are working very hard and toward a goal, which is to possess something.
Okay.
Okay, a car, high performance car, a brand new house. And again, shelter is needed by everyone, but the size and scope, is it to impress somebody? Is it because you want to kind of, show off these kinds of things? Or and that gets us into the conflict between wants and needs, right? And
Mm-hmm.
what we
Mm-hmm.
need is shelter, but we might not need a 12-room palace, and there's only two of us.
Mm.
I mean, there's no harm in that if that's really uh, what you want out of life. But then the focus has become buying and having rather than being. So
Okay.
the way I describe that is that we focus more on um, not on well-being, but being well off,
Okay.
meaning comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in terms of amassing wealth and having it be the downfall, my reply there, YP, and to the audience, is that typically money just amplifies who it is you already are. So if you're
Okay.
generous and you happen to get a bonus and there's more money coming in, the likely response is you're going to feel more generous.
Mm-hmm.
And if you happen to be stingy and you're hoarding the money, you're keeping it, right? And more money shows up, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to add to the pile that you're
Mm-hmm. Hold it
keeping,
more. Yeah.
yeah, that you're keeping for yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think that money in and of itself really, changes much.
Mm.
And we have to also look carefully at the phenomenon of the winners of lotteries. So what happens?
Okay.
The data is very, very clear that essentially within 5 years of somebody winning a substantial sum of money, and that's in UK, that's in US, probably Asia, what happens? Within 5 years, they're broke.
Mm.
And why? Because they weren't prepared. And because, as we said a moment ago, the amount of money that comes to you amplifies who you are.
Mm.
And so if you haven't prepared yourself as a saver, as an investor, if you're basically, I'm going to use the word gambling, if you're a speculator in terms of the lottery, then it really is easy come, easy go.
Mm.
Now, that's not, of course, the end result for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
but it is definitely the majority. So in
Okay.
that case, a lot of money that you're not prepared for, it wouldn't bring your downfall. It will just accelerate who you already are. I hope I've answered
Okay.
those questions.
Yep, yep. So, thanks, Dr. Omar. So the keyword there is, you got a base character, and money is just going to be an accelerator to get you to where you were intentionally heading. Just get there faster. Yep, that's the way I interpret what you just shared. Okay.
Right. And also, of course, smart money is where you invest it in yourself.
Mm, mm,
And Warren Buffett, one of the great investors of all time, happens to be
mm-hmm,
an American worth billions. He has also said, so it's worth taking note, that the
mm.
best investment you can make is in
Yeah,
yourself.
it's invest in yourself. Yeah.
It's improve your skills, improve your understanding, improve your
Mm,
experience. And that kind of an investment of money as well as time brings
mm,
huge dividends. And think about taking a training course to up level your skills, maybe refine and
mm-hmm.
deepen your understanding about this thing we call money. And
Yep.
when you're done, then you have that benefit for the rest of your life.
Mm.
It's not
That's
just
true. Very
something,
true.
it's like learning to tie your shoes. You learn that one time, but guess what? it has stayed with you all your life to the benefit that now you can not just put your shoes on, but you can make sure they stay on.
Mm. And on the concept of upskilling and learning more, that's why I focus a fair bit on helping my clients on time management. Because if you don't have time for yourself, time for the family, and you're always on the busy path, then
Right.
you just won't have time to upskill yourself. So I think one of the key things is to be able to have the time for yourself, not only to learn but to calm yourself down, to relax, to give a bit of me space, and then after that, progress up. Good. So we're
Right.
coming up to
So,
the
and allow me to just
sure.
enhance that. In my
Okay.
first book, the Guide to Islamic Wealth Building in
Okay.
2005, I took note that each one of us has the same amount of time
Mm-hmm.
daily.
Okay.
It's 84,600 seconds.
Okay.
Now, the question you need to ask yourself, YP and audience, is are you spending it or are you investing it?
Okay.
Because
Wow.
it
That's
is a non renewable energy, this time that we're granted. And so, further to what you just said, I like to be an investor. And
mm-hmm.
part of investing is not just the money, it's investing in myself and my health. It's
Mm-hmm.
investing in being a better father or a better spouse. It's investing in my relationships. It's making sure I hug my kids every day. These are also, I look after my employees. All of these are kinds of investment with a small I.
Okay. And what's the investment with a big I?
Well, the investment with a big I is where you take your money and you put it at risk. So the
Okay.
difference between saving and investing is that saving is about capital preservation.
Okay.
So when we save, we don't put our money at risk. And it's
Mm-hmm.
highly recommended, I'm sure you've read it here and there, that every person, in order to encourage financial security, they should have between 3 and 6 months of expenses, or if you'd like, even more, go to the income level.
Mm-hmm.
3 or 6 months of income has been
Mm-hmm.
set aside someplace in a saving fund. And I
Mm-hmm.
recommend that the saving fund be different from your checkbook, different from your credit
Mm-hmm.
card bank account, that it really be separate so you can let it grow and
Mm.
not be inclined to crack that
Yeah.
egg open, so to say, and then to use it. Although maybe that's why you're saving. You're saving for a new car, you're saving
Mm-hmm.
for your home, or to start a business, whatever that is. So the saving is capital preservation. Now, if we
Okay.
want to multiply, we want to get on the path for wealth building, we want to multiply the savings we have, we start to acquire things called assets.
Mm-hmm.
And assets are the foundation for wealth. Assets come in many forms. It can be cash, it can be mutual funds, it can be stocks, it can be things like property, and
Mm-hmm.
ideally, or your business, of course, is an asset. Now, many people, in my experience, they they get involved in debt,
Mm-hmm.
and Robert Kurosawa and others have said there's a thing called good debt and bad debt.
And
Well,
yeah.
my view is that bad debt only turns bad when it gets out of control. Okay. And
Okay.
how does it get out of control? Well, it gets out of control because you don't really have a plan, and because you haven't put a budget together and gained visibility on the first premise that we all need to have, which is cash flow, the flowing
Mm-hmm.
of money in and out of our business and in and out of our life. If we don't have good visibility and control on that, then it's easy, because credit is everywhere, right? Our
Mm.
system is based upon credit. And even today, I would argue that there's almost more credit than money.
Yes.
Okay.
And you
And
spoken a fair bit earlier on about consumerism, how how companies are making us spend more than what we need to spend. Yeah. So that's where the trap is, isn't it? Yeah.
right, exactly. And the fact that banks are ready to give anyone, including young people in college. I mean, my daughter got caught uh,
Mm,
with a credit card and at the department stores
mm-hmm,
because she wanted to look good. She wanted
mm,
clothing, and
mm,
we had given her. And here's a tip for the parents where your kids are going off high school maybe or to college. Is one of the things I did with my children is I gave them post-dated checks. So they knew the money was there and it was with them, right? But they had to
mm.
organize their spending to get to a certain date where the check then could be encashed in the bank and replenish the
Mm,
amount of money they had. And in that
mm,
way, and also periodically they would give a report to their dad. Now,
mm.
frankly, I mean, you can tell them now because they're all grown up, right? I didn't really much look at those reports. It was
Mm,
for them. It
yep.
was for them to
Mm,
appreciate what they're doing, gaining that visibility and beginning, to think more deeply about their relationship to money.
mm,
And by the way, I'm happy to report that two of them, of my kids, have founded their own businesses, raised capital. One in the podcast area and one in real estate brokerage. So
mm.
at least
Okay.
I got a 50% success rate. So that's good.
Good, good. So, Dr. Omar, I know I've put up your link up there. So, for those of you who are listening in right now live, or if you're watching the recording of this, Dr. Omar is very kind enough to share some of his resources. Do you want to talk a bit more about this link here? What they're getting when they click on this link?
Sure, and thank you for putting that up there. So this is a link to a free short paper, we could call it an ebook perhaps, on the 7 keys to personal success and wealth building. Very
Mm-hmm.
simple, very straightforward, non-technical, and I know you're going to benefit from it, maybe some that you've heard about, okay? So take that as a refresher. It's always good to refresh ourselves from time to time, right? But there may be some nuggets in there, some new things that you can benefit from. So I'd like to talk a little bit as we close this out
Mm-hmm.
about wealth building, okay?
Okay.
And some tips. First of all, I'd like to mention that money is energy. And
Okay.
in fact, we may not think about it that way, but money is energy. And we did say that money amplifies who you are. So it is actually a carrier of your individual, personal, and spiritual energy. And maybe some of you feel that way when you make a charitable donation, right? Some of your good hearted generosity is being passed through the money to the beneficiary, to the recipient. So that's an example, an illustration. Um, as we said earlier, it's important to regain visibility on the cash flow, what you're doing with your money, how you're allocating your money and your time for that matter, right? It's important to spend less than you earn.
Mm-hmm.
Simple statement, but profound. Think about it. Spend less than you earn. When you do that, you have something left over. And you can take that surplus and you can put it into savings first. And then later, as the savings accumulate, you can learn the skills of investing.
Mm.
Or you can perhaps hire somebody that you trust who's already proven that they are a good investor of other people's assets and possibly work with them. We want to emphasize in this short talk together that assets are the foundation of wealth building, not
Mm-hmm.
debt.
Okay.
You'll hear many people encourage you to use leverage. other people's money. That means you borrow and add to the money that you have. Well, anything that gets borrowed, unless maybe it's a
Mhm.
garden tool from your grandmother, right, has got to be returned.
Mhm.
Everything that you borrow has got to be returned.
Mhm.
Okay. And therefore, it's only temporarily with you. And as we said earlier, if those debts, those liabilities, the credit card debts, the auto debt, the home mortgage, the business loans, if they are not carefully managed against the income stream and serviced in a healthy way, oh, trouble can start to set in. And one of the benefits of working less and earning more, as YP is helping us to understand, is stress release, is to
Mm.
feel more relaxed and satisfied about your life. And accumulating debts are going in the opposite direction. We all
Yeah.
know that debts in almost whatever format, particularly credit card debts, because they're every single month, right? With a very high rental cost, 18 to maybe 22%. It doesn't take long for what you bought to then actually double in value through a
Mhm.
credit card purchase. Okay.
Mhm.
So that brings on what? Anxiety. It brings on
True.
a lot of stress. It's moving you, even though you have the purchase and you may be happy with it, it's moving you in an unhealthy direction. And having healthy money habits is what we're all about at Conscious Wealth, and why we're investing this time with you to bring up some ideas and maybe stimulate some thinking. And lastly, I would like to say that we have four maxims at Conscious Wealth:
Okay.
purpose, plenty, philanthropy, and prosperity. So, what's that all about? Well, this is kind of like the mainstream of how we think about our business and the services we bring to people like yourself. So, having a purpose driven life, that's a really worthwhile goal and one of the building blocks of inner peace and wealth. Being wealthy, feeling wealthy, is having a purpose driven life. Plenty, this is obvious, except that many people are going around daily with these fears, with that anxieties, and that's because they're carrying what's called scarcity thinking,
Mhm.
scarcity mindset. What we want to do is encourage you to shift to what? Abundance
Abundance.
mindset, plenty mindset. And we could talk more about that if you like. Philanthropy, this is all about generosity. And let's face it, that life is typically about helping others. There's only a certain amount of satisfaction that comes from being a narcissist, from being selfish, from gathering things into yourself. I remember seeing a bumper sticker in the US a long time back, and the bumper sticker said, he wins who dies with the most toys. So this is a consumerism mentality about
Mm.
gathering to yourself.
Mm.
Very
Mm.
selfish and highly competitive frame of mind. We want to
Mhm.
move rather to where we're in service to ourselves, to our health, okay, to learning and growing. And through that,
Mhm.
we can be a better service to others.
True.
So that's a focus on gratitude and generosity. And then lastly, the prosperity, that's part of the end goal, isn't it? Okay.
Yes, it
To
is.
arrive at a space where we understand our relationship to money, whether again it's at home or in our business, and we're able to grow wealth, grow the money into the wealth for ourselves, our family, and lastly, for the community. because if it is a wealthy community, then we also benefit, but everyone around us is participating in that kind of generosity and comfort, and we hope financial security. So those are the four maxims of conscious wealth.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Omar, for sharing this, and thank you for all the gifts. So we've got Dr. Omar's website. We've got his cost, the seven, what do you call it, 7 tips or
7 keys for
7 keys?
personal
Okay, right.
success and wealth building.
Okay, and then right here, right now, thank you again, for joining us. I've also put down there, take a camera out and take a photo of this. Okay, so these are 10 proven strategies to work less and more. So you've got plenty of tips from the both of us here to have a very successful business and personal life. So with this, I wish everybody a good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And if you just join us or you're listening to this recording, and you want to hear more of it, just scroll up to the top, okay, and listen to the whole program. There are lots of wisdom shared by Dr. Omar, and he's sharing, very, very, I would say, very, very key or important nuggets for us to be conscious about wealth, having the right belief system about wealth, so that we can get to our end goal, our destination in a very safe, stress-free way. Okay. So, Dr. Omar, I'm just going to play a little a little outro, okay? And then we'll end the show. Yep. Okay, so let's wave everybody, bye-bye. Okay.